And welcome back to the sports show here. We have a pretty interesting episode today. This week we have a Red Sox executive calling into our show today at about 3:15, about 15 minutes. It's going to be Colin Burch. He's the VP of Marketing and Broadcasting for the team, so it's going to be a pretty good one, Jimmy.
Yeah, it should be an interesting chance to talk with him. And, of course, the Red Sox are off to a really, really hot start, 17-2, so I'm sure there's a lot of fun being had in the Boston front offices and things like that. It's probably a good time to be working there, so it'd be nice to pick his brain and see what that hot start has kind of led to in terms of just maybe positive culture there.
Well, yeah, exactly, and that also leads into more discussion of just how the teams do, more of Mookie Betts in particular. They also want to promote some things too. We're going to talk about what they have in store for fan experiences. They have a few new seating sections, including actually the one that caught my eye was the first time they're going to have field level private seating. So you'll be actually sit on the field. So it's going to be you'll be enclosed. I'm sure you'll be safe, but it's going to be a pretty cool experience. So we'll get into stuff with Colin on that later on. Also, if you wanted to give the show a call after the interview with Colin, you want to comment on that or anything else we're talking about, we're going to be talking about Bruins, not Bruins, Celtics, some Patriots offseason trades and moves and stuff like that as well. So also a crazy local story in baseball as well. We can actually talk about that probably now for a little bit as well too, since it's relating to baseball. But Old Rochester baseball last week had a 82-0 victory over. I'm blanking on the team now.
Notre Dame Cristo Rey.
Yeah, Cristo Rey. There's two of these schools. One of these schools is a 1,000+ student school, and I'm assuming pretty good at baseball. Yeah. And the other school is one they played has less than 100 kids. They're out of Lawrence. Now, that's an honest coaching mistake by Steve Carvalho, who's the head baseball coach over there at Old Rochester. And the thing is, it's the 82-0 game. Now, I in the story by Buddy Thomas in the Standard Times, it shows that Carvalho said he's sick to his stomach. He said he's disappointed that the score got out of hand. He said they shouldn't have been playing that team to begin with. These kids had less than 13 players in the team. He says that they were base hits, or simple ground balls were going 300 feet. They weren't running out extra base hits. I would say just don't even swing.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that caught me the most off guard, obviously, you see 82-0, and it's like, I mean, is there a typo? It just doesn't seem right. In football, you can see something getting out of hand like that. In basketball, but in baseball, I mean, you're scoring every time you score is one run. 82 runs is a lot of runs in a 5-inning game. I think is what they ended up playing, because that's. When I read the article, I think that was kind of the gist of it, was that the game had to go 5 innings to count. I don't know. The whole thing just kind of reeks of just negativity. I mean, how do you allow that to happen? There's no excuse. I don't care. And I read the article, and Carvalho, that's the name, right? Carvalho, the head coach over at ORR, seemed really, regretful for what happened. But you have to take charge in the moment. I mean, how do you let that get to 82-0? There is no excuse to put 82 points on the board against a team, no matter how bad they are.
Let me just cut you off there, Jimmy, real quick. Once again, I didn't get the number out. It's 508-996-0500. The same way you call any show during the week, our original programming. You can call us at right now Howie Carr is playing on the radio, but you can listen to us on our WBSM YouTube channel.
Do it. I dare you.
It's the sports show. It's with Tim and Jim. It's live right now. You just got to type in WBSM, click on our logo for our page, and it'll pop right up. You just click on that video. Again, we're going to be interviewing Colin Burch today. He'll be calling in about 10 minutes at 3:15. Talk to him about some new heightened fan experience measures that the Sox are undertaking to to make your time at Fenway better, and also how the Sox are doing in their hot start. So back to the story though about just the story, Jimmy, about ORR baseball. The 82-0 game is unbelievable. It's obviously the most lopsided win in state history for baseball. I mean, hell, it's a basketball score.
Yeah,
that's a lopsided basketball score, and I understand you're playing a team that probably shouldn't have been out there against you. Probably shouldn't even be in high school. It's a small school, small team, and obviously you don't want to take the loss. You don't want to forfeit. And the other teams apparently wouldn't forfeit. I guess Carvalho said he asked and he tried to have them do that, but I guess it came to no avail. That's why I say, yeah, not running out extra base hits is your first measure, but when you're literally getting when you're getting the ball teed up and you can just slam it. You don't swing. Don't swing. Intentionally get out.
I just can't see an excuse for. So in the article, it said it was 12-0 after the first inning.
Right.
You played a 5-inning game. That means you scored 70 runs from innings 2 through 5. At what point do you just say, like, hey, just go up there and, like, stick the bat at the ball or stick the bat out like you're going to bunt and just completely miss the ball? And just, like, at what point do you say, enough is enough? Okay, these guys want to play the game. They don't really care, whatever. The umps are saying we have to play to X amount of point. We don't want to have a loss on our schedule. I understand the idea of it being a scheduling gaffe, and he was confused between the two teams, similar names. At what point do you not take? I mean, I just can't believe that they took every single measure possible in the moment to keep that game. I mean, 82-0. What does that do for the kids from Cristo Rey? I mean.
Well, first of all, it's also you got to put some onus on the other team as well. For if the coach didn't, if I'm sorry, if I have a team who's losing 50-0,
I'm walking off the field.
I'm taking them off the field. I don't even want to be associated with it. Not only that, it's not good for the kid's psyche. So it's a little bit on that coach not ending it. I guess Carvalho also said the umpires are very nice and accommodating with the fact that they let the game go only 5 innings. They did have rules they had to follow. They had to play the game no matter how ridiculous it would be. Me personally, as a player, not only on the other team's side, I guess they were learning. Apparently, Carvalho even said that he had to when he was when
he was coaching the kid how to play third base.
When he was in the third base box for offense. But aside from that, I mean, I would just say this isn't worth my time. I mean, you're going to have a loss in your record again. But where's your JV? Are they available? Where's anybody else? You're going to take out all your starters? I wouldn't have my starting pitcher in there. Why are you going to waste your time on that?
Yeah, I mean, I would take if I'm Carvalho, I take the kid who I have the least trust in terms of pitching ability, put him on the mound and just say, hey, give it a try. See what you got. Anyway, I understand in some ways he was a little handcuffed because it was an away game, so you only bring the guys that you bring your varsity team. It's not like they had the JV team with them. If it was a home game, you think, okay, maybe you start plucking kids off the street and saying, hey, freshman, come down, get some at-bats, whatever. So you're a little hand-tied in that situation, but you have to do, I don't care if you have to have the kid, tell your kids, wait until the ball's in the glove and then swing. Right. And just take it. You can't allow it to get to 82. And for as much flack as I want to give Carvalho, I think you're right in the point where you kind of have to question the other, Cristo Rey head coach too, allowing it to blossom like that too. I mean, at that point, you're going to lose the game anyways, right? So it's not a big deal for Cristo Rey after you say, hey, we'll take the forfeit, we'll take the loss after 3 innings if you're down 50-0. At some point,
well, the thing that's surprising to me,
young team,
the thing that's surprising to me is that there's no slaughter rule in baseball. I thought there was.
I thought there was too, and I would think that there. Yeah, I mean, I understand if the normal rules are that a game has to go 5 innings because high school baseball game is 7 innings, so 5 would technically be like a slaughter rule type of thing, or inclement weather.
Well, for example, in Major League Baseball, for 9 inning games in Major League Baseball, the rainout. You can get an official game in there if it's 5 innings played.
4.5,
yeah, 4.5 innings. So I just think that the fact that Mass doesn't have a slaughter rule kind of thing. I mean, I played baseball 8 years ago in high school. That was the last, and I didn't really even play, but we never had a game that was that intense. I remember in Little League and Babe Ruth there might have been, but in smaller capacity leagues. But this one, that's just unbelievable. I'm sure it might change. Hopefully it does. Neither team should be subjected to. Again, as a player, especially one who didn't play a lot, I'd be dying on the bench. I'd be bored. Yeah. I'd quit right there. I'd say, you know what? I'm good. I'm done with baseball today.
And that's the thing too. It couldn't be. At some point, it starts off fun for ORR. They're having success. Everybody's getting a hit. Probably people are maybe playing positions that they want to try for the first times. But at some point, that had to get boring for them too. So the whole thing is kind of a wash. So really, maybe this is a chance now for MIA to step in and make a rule, which probably is something that they haven't had to deal with in the past, right? Because you tend to have similar, level teams on the field. But they have to put some rule in effect where you can cut the game before 5 innings if it's going to be, if it's more than 10 runs. I mean, 82-0 is insane.
So you also see these across the country with other sports. With basketball, there was like 100-0 win for a girls' basketball game. You see it all over the place, right?
Yeah.
And you just wonder how it gets out of hand. Obviously, it's an awkward situation again. You can't end the game if there's schedules in the line and there's records in the line. But also, where you just say, okay, guys, this is just ridiculous. Can we call the commissioner of the MI? I mean, I'm sure it's not. He's not the Secretary of State. I'm sure he can be reached, and you can just say, hey, look, can we just this team is okay with taking a loss. We have dinner tonight. We have school tomorrow morning. We can't be here, just whipping this team until Kingdom Come.
No, and that is a valid point. That there's got to be some way where you can step over the bounds there, and that's a little bit on the umpires too. There's got to be someone that you should be able to contact, be like, listen, we could play this game to the 95th inning, and it's not going to change the outcome. It's not going to change anything. Let's save us all the embarrassment, really, because that's kind of what this comes down to. It's embarrassing for Cristo Rey. It's embarrassing for ORR. It's embarrassing.
I think it's hilarious, but so there's also a chance. So this team is on the schedule again, and Carvalho says if they do play again, he's not going to be playing his starters. He'll be playing his JV players. So it might be a 41-0 game instead. But I just wouldn't even put it on the schedule. There's got to be some sort of invocation or whatever the word is for someone leading the MIAA or whatever local regional baseball leader for high school. They should be able to kind of step in here.
Yeah, that game should be canceled. I mean, it was an extra game anyways, right? The article said he had 18 games on the schedule. He was trying to add a couple more, probably trying to boost their ability to get into the postseason. But what's one game you take off the schedule at this point? I don't even think...
It's an out-of-conference game, too. It's not like it's a...
It's not a league game. It really has no bearing other than probably another game for them to fluff their schedule to try to get, some solid seeding in the tournament.
Do you think Carvalho catches any flack at the high school for this?
I think there's got to be some. See, okay, I work at a high school, right? I work at, and we're in a situation probably similar more to Cristo Rey than an ORR. We're a new school, international population, young athletes. I could only imagine what my headmaster would say to me if I came back. Headmaster principal. If I came back and said that we beat a team 82-0 in baseball, probably would be. I mean, again, if you tried to exhaust all the options and it just gets out of hand, it gets out of hand. But on some level, you kind of have to have that kind of it's almost human decency at that point to be like, listen, we got to.
So do you work in the athletic department or do you work as a coach?
No, I work. I'm the athletic director, and I also am a coach.
Okay, so you're the athletic director. Perfect, then, because that's who would address this.
Yeah.
Would you? Now, Carvalho doesn't have any prior history of this. He's been known as a good guy. He's cooperative with the media. People seem to like the guy. Would you have? If you were to see Carvalho at your school and you were the athletic director, how would there be any discipline? If you just got what you got, you read the article and it wasn't told, and he may have told you what happened, you were aware, but you read the details in the article.
I really think that in this instance you'd have to make a phone call to the refs or the umps. You'd have to get in touch with your ump assigner, talk to the umps, try to reach out to the other school as well, and get their viewpoints on it to see if there was anything where that overstep. Again, 82 runs. There had to be some level where they were doing something more than they needed to do at the moment, and that's where you would want to talk to the coach and be like, okay, listen, if you get off the bus and you could. This game is going to be out of hand. Like, maybe just from the start, start with a completely different lineup.
Well, here's what I say, Jimmy. Here's the only thing I could see. And again, we weren't at the game. Maybe it'd be a question to ask Buddy Thomas. He's the one who covered it for the Standard Times. My question is, say if Carvalho tried that. Say he said, you know what, you went to the other coach, middle of the third inning when it was 28-0, and he says, hey, look, you know what, this is obviously out of hand. We don't mean to keep doing this. Should we just take all of our strikes? We'll do as fast as we can, and we'll get out of here. And maybe the coach was insulted by that. Who knows? Maybe the coach said, I want my players to learn, and he's just one of those guys that's like, really? Where you can't say it to him, but it's like, really? No. You guys...
and that's very true. That could be the case. And one of the things that I was a little upset about in the article was the fact that we didn't hear from the Cristo Rey coach. So we don't know. Maybe the Cristo Rey coach did want to use this as an opportunity to all right, our guys need to learn how to play better. At some point, I still think enough is enough, but you gotta learn.
I wouldn't want to show my face if I was his. I wouldn't want to show my face if I was him. But I don't know. I also have another thought of it too, where 82-0 is out of hand. It's just honestly, it's just not even practical either. You got parents who are out of work, they're tired. I would just be annoyed in any aspect of the game, coach, parent, player. It also seems. Oh, it looks like we have. We'll get back to that in a minute. Looks like we have Colin on the line right now, so I'm going to try to set him up here, real quick, and we'll get things going with Colin here. And good afternoon. Is this Colin Burch?
It is indeed. How are you?
Good. How are you, Colin? Thanks for calling in today.
No worries at all. How's everything going?
Going pretty well. It's pretty nice outside today, so we can't wait to get outside and get some golfing in there. How are you enjoying today?
It's a beautiful day. Can't complain.
Awesome.
It would be a perfect day for baseball at Fenway.
It would
exactly. So once again, we're joined by Colin Burch. He's the VP of Marketing and Broadcasting for the Red Sox, and he's been nice enough to call in. Now, Colin, we understand you also have some. The team also has some venues and some partnerships they've done to revamp fan favorite programs here. You want us to talk about those?
Yeah, certainly. We've had a couple of new partners come on board, which is Sam Adams. They're obviously a New England institution from all fans that New England, and they revamped the right field roof deck and have really kind of livened that space up, and we'll have some new stuff that will be kind of rolling out up there. And then we've got a really unique new position down in the first base dugout area called the First Base Dugout Suite. It's a really fascinating space. You get kind of live action, just like you're in the Red Sox dugout. You're just about 10 feet down from them. So it's a really unique space, really unique angle, and a different perspective to enjoy the game.
Now that's the Jim. That's the Jim Beam Dugout Seats are the ones that aren't field. I was most interested in that. That's pretty cool.
It's pretty. It's pretty wild. I've been down there, and had that perspective more so from viewing it through the lens of the local photographers or the broadcasters or other things like that. But you're literally on kind of the same level as the players and have a really unique experience from that perspective. So it's pretty. It's certainly pretty wild. It's just another new addition to the ballpark.
Awesome.
And Colin, it's Jim here. Just another question about the Jim Beam seats. What type of policies or precautions did you guys have to take in putting seats that are so close that maybe even get into the action a little bit? Were there any types of things you guys had to go through? Putting those seats into place?
We made sure that we were following obviously the same kind of guidelines. Because we, as you probably have seen as well, we've got the new protective netting that goes and protects fans kind of almost all the way down the lines. So with that, we use the same precautions and same netting there, so fans are completely protected from that perspective. And it really is no different from an extension standpoint from a player and playability perspective that used to be there with the camera well and the tarp, and that's where the tarp used to be as well.
Colin, it seems like there hasn't been any sort of blowback at all from the extension of the netting along the first and third base lines. Obviously, there is that couple of tragic incidents last year where fans were struck by a bat. Obviously, that's heightened the safety. Has there been any noise from the fans at all of dissatisfaction with it?
Nothing that I've heard so far. I think we take obviously fan safety the highest priority. And when we consulted with Major League Baseball, and Major League Baseball consulted with all clubs on the new guidelines, we made sure we were in lockstep with that. And I think in some respects, fans appreciate, and hopefully they appreciate the fact that that's our first priority.
And looking at some of the other marketing strategies you guys are using this year, can you talk a little bit about some of the stuff you're doing with kids and getting kids involved at Fenway and with the Red Sox?
Certainly, our one of obviously the key goals for us is to get as many kids at the ballpark as possible. So we have a number of initiatives that are geared towards doing just that. One of them is our Hood Kid Nation program. Anybody that signs up for Kid Nation, they actually get a free ticket. It's a free program, and they get a free ticket to a Red Sox game. And that's specifically designed to make sure that Fenway Park is always affordable for fans to enjoy baseball. Another program that we have is our Student Nines program, where any student can come to middle school, high school, college, etc. can come to the game for $9. You just have to show your ID, and you can buy a ticket for $9, which is I think is a really unique
it's an incredible deal.
element that we created 3 years ago. And again, the purpose of that was when we talked to a number of college students that are in the Fenway area. One of the things we were talking to them about is they talked about price point, and we dived down and tried to figure out what made sense. And $9 for some of these kids is actually cheaper than a cover charge to get into a bar. So
absolutely, it's cheaper than some beer at some places too.
We figured that was kind of the right price point, and it obviously ties in with starting $9, etc.
And so what gate would a student have to go to? If I'm a UMass Dartmouth student, for example, and I have my student ID, would I go to a certain gate, or any gate matter? Or?
You can go to any gate.
Awesome. That's a heck of a deal. Yeah.
Awesome idea.
I also wanted to ask about the Mobile Red Sox Showcase. It's a program where fans can get the Fenway experience actually brought to them across New England and into local communities. How far does that reach, and what's involved?
Certainly, we try to every year we identify probably between 50 and 60 locations throughout New England, and they're everything from festivals to events where there are obviously large gatherings of folks, and we try to bring the Fenway Park experience directly to the community. And there's batting cage that we have with it. There's pitching activations and activities. There's some other interactive elements. So we really try to use that as an opportunity to bring Fenway to folks that might not necessarily have the opportunity to, or don't quite know all about Fenway has to offer.
That's great. That's got to be thrilling for people that maybe live a little bit further away and can't always get out to games.
It is. That's specifically what it's designed for. And with obviously New England being such a large footprint for us from our home, it's incumbent upon us to make sure that we continue to kind of reach fans throughout the entire territory.
So switching gears a little bit from some of the bigger promotional things you're doing, just looking at the hot start that this team is off to, 17-2. They're one of 5 teams since 1900 to get off to a start like this. I just was wondering how, in your role as the VP of marketing, does that change or enhance any of the marketing strategies that you had kind of planned out early on in the season? Are there any things that you look to maybe do differently, or do you look to try to pull and take advantage of this hot start to try to build some new strategies in the moment?
It's the best thing that we could ask for from our best marketing tool is the players playing well. One thing that we can control is the experience at Fenway Park, but we know that the experience at Fenway Park is only heightened when there's incredible play on the field, and it's been nothing short of incredible so far this start. We certainly hope that fans can appreciate it. It's probably not going to be like this. While I would love to go 160-2, I'm not sure that that's going to be the case. So it's for us, there's not necessarily anything that we do other than just highlighting the exciting play that's taking place, and more importantly, the players are having fun, and that's showing through. And I know it's a lot easier, obviously, to have fun when you're winning, but they truly look like they're having a ball out there, enjoy playing with each other, and that's kind of exciting to see that they're kind of meshing this well this early.
Once again, we're talking with Red Sox Vice President of Broadcasting and Marketing, Colin Burch. Colin, getting more specific to Mookie Betts, he's been off to an incredible start. I mean, he's been compared to by many as probably one of the best players in the MLB compared to Mike Trout. He had 3 home runs in the blowout against the Diamondbacks last week. You want us to talk a little bit about him?
Certainly, he's spectacular, and for everything that he's been doing at the plate and hitting the ball, and he's certainly locked in from that perspective. His defense is incredible. He's won 2 Gold Gloves as a right fielder. I think the only other Red Sox player to do so is Dwight Evans, Red Sox outfielder Dwight Evans, and for us, he's really a pleasure to watch because he can change the game in so many different ways, from his offense to his defense to his base running. And in addition to that, just from a clubhouse standpoint, his leadership capabilities.
So, Colin, I kind of want to go back a moment to a thing you said the previous question. You had mentioned that the players are having a lot of fun. Obviously, guys like Mookie Betts, the pitching staff as a whole, everything's clicking right now. Obviously, they're having more fun on the field. But how does that help you in your position when you're looking forward, maybe not to even this year, but next year, when you're looking forward to building in promotional events and marketing schemes around the players to kind of see them a little bit more loose and excited to be out there because things are going well? You can maybe pick up on different things that make them tick that you can then incorporate into fan experiences and things of that nature.
Certainly, I think we always look for those potential elements, but I think we just try to kind of capitalize and heighten and show kind of the exuberance and the fun that they're having. The biggest thing is highlighting their personalities. It's a long season, and there will certainly be some ups and downs, and I think for us to be able to sit here and watch them entertain us the way that they have, and for us to highlight those personalities and them having fun and enjoying and celebrating together is certainly something that we makes our jobs a whole lot easier.
And now, when I want to go back a little bit to a couple series ago, Yankees and Red Sox. Yankees are in town. Red Sox take 2 of 3. Of course, there's the brawl that takes place in the second game of that series, and it really, all year, all off season, coming into the season, there was that kind of feeling that the rivalry is back and that the Yankees and Red Sox are going to be in contention again for the top spot in the American League East, and that was kind of on display in that first series. From a marketing standpoint, what do you take from something like that when it's such a powerful rivalry, one that's at the top of sports in general, when it's back in full effect like that and you get the confrontation along with the strong play? How does that help kind of build what you're doing from a marketing standpoint?
Well, the Red Sox-Yankees rivalry is obviously historic. It goes back decades upon decades, and for that to be, and for the fans and you and others to feel that the rivalry is renewed or has a sense of additional spark, I think is only good for the game and for baseball. It's a national rivalry for a number of reasons. Obviously, the regional component plays and weighs heavily into that. But it's great for us, and I think it's great for baseball when both teams are, knock on wood, incredibly competitive and can really kind of galvanize the fan base from both sides to get excited for baseball.
Back to the topic of fan experience. So it's been on and off talk for a while. It's nothing that's necessarily new, but there has been some talk about the MLB. The possibility of the MLB ever starting the season later, because obviously, it's not Fenway Park that's only susceptible to this, where, outdoor stadiums, especially up north, can kind of have a hard time getting the best fan experience, I'd imagine, when it's, it's snowing out at a game. What steps do the Sox take to make sure the fans are having a good experience, or, have you gotten wind that they didn't have a good experience during the cold games?
Well, I am continually impressed by our fans and the passion that they have for this team. And for Fenway Park, there are some incredibly cold, kind of ugly weather days so far where we've hosted games, and we continue to be impressed upon the crowds that come out to grin and bear it, and I think it's a testament to the excitement that they have for this team. What we try to do is we try to make it, as you said, as comfortable as possible for fans when they come here, and when there's situations where it's going to be incredibly uncomfortable for fans, but more importantly from a player safety standpoint, like we had on Marathon Monday, we were not going to be able to play baseball in that weather, so we postponed the game. It's not ideal to ever postpone a game because I think a lot of fans are looking forward to those dates, but that's certainly something that we always take into account.
Has the organization by itself or the MLB as a whole ever discussed starting the game, possibly the season, possibly in May or later on?
Well, I think it's the later you start the season, the later you end the season. I think there was some recent discussion amongst players on their way to shorten the season, but there's nothing that we're going to have in the near term, immediate future control over that. Knock on wood. It's today is a beautiful day, and hopefully it's the start of spring, or maybe the start of summer, depending on how quickly it jumps upon us here. But we can only control so many things, and certainly the weather is one of those that we just don't quite have the pulse on.
Talking about, obviously, the weather being nice and something that would be an ideal day out here for the Red Sox to be at home. They are on the road. Just what are some of the things that you're doing now while they're on the road, maybe to get prepared for the next homestand, or things that you're still doing, actively to help market them while they're on the road? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Certainly. I think it comes back to, and it's a little bit more challenging when they're West Coast games, because they're up at late. I know I'm tired from staying up watching these games, but I think it's simply highlighting and reminding fans of this incredible run that we're on. Knock on wood, it continues tonight and tomorrow and through our series in Toronto, and we come home with a continually strong record.
Do you ever? I'm sorry, can you continue?
Yeah, sorry, that was.
No, that's my fault. Oh, okay. Well, I was actually going to ask, do you ever go on these road stands at all? Do you ever go and travel with the team? Is there any road kind of marketing strategies that can really happen? Because it seems like the Sox.
Well, just from a high, we're limited in what we're able to do on the road outside of New England from a Major League Baseball perspective.
Mm-hmm.
So we really try to focus on how we can elevate the experience here at the ballpark. And I think one of the things that we do when you talk about how we keep fans engaged while we're on the road, we've got incredible TV and radio broadcast teams with Dave O'Brien and Dennis Eckersley, and now Johnny Gomes for a couple of games, and Jerry Remy, and then on the radio side with Tim Neverett and Joe Castiglione and Lou Merloni from time to time. So, the storytelling aspect certainly comes through their lens when we're on the road more so than ever.
How is that relationship, I guess, from your perspective and your position as the VP of Marketing and Broadcasting? Does that ever get hectic, or is it kind of a average day-to-day, everyday relationship you'd have with those organizations? With EEI in particular, I guess.
It's a long season, and they, from the broadcast talent standpoint, they grind through the season from time to time, just like our players do. But they're outstanding broadcast talent and partners, and they really understand the game so well, and more importantly, the passion of the New England fan base. And through their storytelling, they're just been, they've got the right kind of temperature to call the games, and hopefully to heighten the fan experience.
Colin, we thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. We really do appreciate the call in, and hopefully we can we can talk to you some point later on in the season when hopefully playoff time comes around. If it's looking like
Absolutely, love to do so. You guys have a great weekend.
Hey, you too. Thanks a lot. I appreciate it.
Take care.
Bye. Once again, that was Colin Burch we were on the phone with. He's the Vice President of Marketing and Broadcasting for the Boston Red Sox. He is been nice enough to call us in today, and hopefully we can talk to him in the future. And once again, you can he did announce some programs the Red Sox have. It's the new partnership between local brewers. Sam Adams will be at experiential bar areas with the Sam deck. It's a roof deck bar atop the retired numbers. Sammy's on third and under the third base stands. There's a Jim Beam Dugout Seats, my favorite. I want to check that out.
I like
That's
that a lot too.
Ground level on the field in the dirt. There's Kid Nation, getting kids involved students. You can only pay $9 at Fenway for tickets
That's a
if you
cool
have
idea.
for standing room seats if you have a student ID. There's the mobile Red Sox showcase. You're going to bring Red Sox to you around your local communities. So especially for us in the South Coast, Fairhaven, New Bedford, it's kind of a haul getting to Boston, and it's just a lot of good programs they have. So I'm glad to get that out there. And if you want to give us a call after we take this quick break, the number's 508-996-0500. We can talk about the interview we just had with Colin Burch, or we can also get into some more Red Sox stuff in the season, maybe some Patriots offseason moves, and also some Celtics for the playoffs. So
yeah, the Celtics, they went from hero to zero real quick.
508-996-0500 is the telephone number. We'll be right back. And welcome back to the Sports Show. I'm Tim Dunn. He's Jimmy Wilkins. If you want to call up and talk about that interview we just had with Colin Burch, the Red Sox VP of Marketing and Broadcasting, you can certainly do that at 508-996-0500. Colin's a pretty good guy. I like that interview. I hope we can call him again. He had some pretty interesting things, too, the Red Sox are promoting. Again, as I said before the last break, all those kids promotions are actually going to bring the Red Sox to local communities if you can't make it to Boston, like a majority of us can't in the South Coast. It's not that easy. You also have the thing I want to look out for is the
Jim Beam seats.
The Jim Beam seats. I hope maybe Jim Beam also gets me excited too. It kind of gets me going a little bit for that too. He wasted on the field of Fenway. But
no, I saw a little thing on like CNBC or something in the doctor's office about that, and the seats look so cool. I mean, it really is. It gives you that kind of first.
I can't visualize them. So you're on first base side.
I think they're just behind the first base dugout, so kind of like where the camera well.
Okay, so you're kind of protected like a photographer.
Yeah, so you're still protected, like and I think he had even talked about that a little bit when we asked him, but it gives you that feeling like you are part of the action, which is just such a cool perspective to see the game from. Because I mean, you could get a $9 seat, which is great. It's cool you're in there. Might not be the best view. Now you step it up. Obviously, it's a big difference in price, I'm sure, but being able to kind of absorb the action of the game from kind of how the players see it is
for guys
really
like
neat.
you and me who are out of college and we're older, that's the Jim Beam experience is so often. But the good thing is the Sox, they kind of parcel out different options for different age groups and different situations. For the kids thing, or for the student, for the college kids thing. If I'm a college kid, which me and you were not that long ago, less than 3 years ago. I'd be doing that already.
I would have loved that. If
I went to Bridgewater State University. They had, I think, one of the only colleges in the state that have a train going directly through it to Boston. So I would hop on that. Yeah. All you need is a student ID and $10.
Yeah, that's not bad. I mean,
$10. And how often? And how often do you hear getting $10 into Fenway or any Gillette or any stadium nowadays? $10. That's usually what like a bathroom trip costs.
I know, right? It's quite the deal, and it is something that. Like you say, if I was still in college, that's something I'd be all over because, I mean, I love baseball. To get in there, cheap, have a fun day, fun evening, better than, wasting your money at the bar or whatever, doing something, stupid, having a good time at the Red Sox game. Sounds like fun.
Absolutely. So getting more into the Red Sox actually with the season, obviously we can't there's so much we can really ask the VP of Marketing and Broadcasting when it comes to the actual players. He's not the guy trading away certain players. He certainly he does a great job marketing them. Obviously, we know all about them. It's certainly a tribute to him.
Sure.
But getting more into the recent success the Red Sox have had. I mean, they've hit their 17-2, as we said, in the opening 19 games of the season. They destroyed the Diamondbacks. They've been hammering the Athletics. They swept the Angels. I personally agree with most people saying that Mookie Betts is Mike Trout, maybe even better this year.
I mean, it's early. But he
early.
has been. I mean, every day you put on. I'm a big baseball fan, so typically in the morning when I wake up, MLB Network, if it's not on from the night before, it'll be the first channel I'll put on, flip around, see what's happening in the league, and it's like every day Mookie Betts is doing something, to get the game going for the Sox and just
first
you kiss
the poster of Derek Jeter you have in the lips, and then you start doing all that stuff.
Yeah, and I save that for special occasions only. But yeah, the what he's been able to do is just a catalyst to that offense, and then you add in the fact that you have the JD Martinez now, who brings those kind of attributes that Big Papi had a couple years back. And it's not even so much what he's doing, although he's starting to really get productive as well. It's what he does for everybody else in that lineup. Mookie Betts, maybe Mookie Betts is seeing a couple more pitches in the strike zone than he normally would have, or than he would have last year when it wasn't as tough sledding through the middle of that order. Maybe you tried to work around him or made him, hit pitches out of the zone to get on base. Now he's seeing maybe a couple more fastballs because hey, I can't get too cute here with putting 1, 2, 3 guys on base ahead of Martinez and Hanley Ramirez.
Right, and that's just baseball anyway. That's that is the general sense of adding that lineup. I know a few weeks ago I was kind of saying how I still think it's kind of a babyish way to go about business, but if that's the way pro sports works, the way it does. Not only with the pitching that it gives them a break, I think it gives them a mental break. It gives Hanley Ramirez, it gives Mookie Betts, or anybody at the top of the order, or trying to roll over the bottom of the order, that mental break.
It takes the weight off the shoulders. You're not the guy. You're not the
Right.
guy, right? You are a contributor, but you're not. Like last year, Hanley Ramirez was supposed to be the guy,
And that's what we were
right?
missing.
And he crumbled. That's
That's what the Sox were missing last year, and the fact that they were missing power in general. They were missing. They're in Fenway Park, one of the smallest parks ever. They have the Green Monster, which is a high. It's a high pop fly in other ballparks, and they had the lowest amount of home runs in the entire MLB, I believe.
Yeah.
Yes.
Or not MLB, American League, I
okay.
think.
Either
Which
way.
is still, I mean, American League is the more power league.
Yeah. So
anyways,
definitely
with the DH.
a great addition with JD Martinez. I also think the biggest surprise defensively has been David Price. He had the babyish game with the sensation in my hand.
My cold hand.
Yeah, it was cold hand. As I said in McCarthy's show this morning when he was filling over Ken Pittman, it's called sleeping on your hand.
Yeah, we should have asked Colin if the next time that David Price takes the mound at Fenway Park, they might do a glove at night.
That was
something.
a $1 million start if you do the math. It's a 30-game season, $1 million a start, $30 million bucks. That's a waste of money. That's a waste of assets. That's a waste of a season, I guess, especially against a team that, albeit they're 9-9 right now, but they're going to probably be the team to beat. I still think the Yankees are going to be the team to beat. It's still early for them to be counted out. And I think that the Red Sox need to work as much as they can in trading this guy for something else. Whether it's, hopefully, you get an equivalent, maybe, obviously you get a little bit less, but a pitcher. But I would even be willing to trade him at the end of the season if things don't work out. If he had a great season, which I hope he does, so we can trade him, the Sox can trade him, and get a either equivalent pitcher back or get additional hitting to make up for that lapse in pitching for however temporarily it'll be.
Would you be okay with him just opting out? Just opting out of his. I mean, he's got the opt out at the end of this year. So you say, "Oh, hopefully he has a great year, so we can trade him." So you wouldn't be getting anything back if he opted out, but you wouldn't have to pay him, and he's gone.
As a fan, I'd be happy if he opted out. As if you put me in the shoes of Dave Dombrowski,
obviously you want something.
You want something.
Yeah.
You already paid how much money for it? You already paid $60 million. No, it's his 90. No, well, it's his third year now, right? This is his third season.
Yeah,
he's had
third
two.
season,
So you already paid him $60 million. He's had 4 starts, so it's like $65 million you already paid the guy. I want something in return for that. At least a hitter. At least
although
something.
you could spin it a little bit, and again, this is spinning a little bit. You could say, you have got something for that. Like Drew Pomeranz comes back off the DL, so he slides in.
Yeah, but
You've got guys that you didn't expect a lot from. Velasquez, that guy who's come up and broke camp with the team as the 5th starter who's pitched well. Eduardo Rodriguez has looked well. You're going to, at some point, get Stephen Wright back, who, with the knuckleball, you never really know. He could be lights out. So you might be filling, just from depth more than you even realize.
Well, Porcello and Pomerantz are always, they aren't 100% reliable, and I'm not saying David Price was either. And then if Stephen Wright still isn't out for giving his girlfriend a knuckle sandwich, then he might not be back either. Again, he's a woman beater. He got convicted of domestic violence. So as far as I'm concerned, I don't even want him on the team anyways. And he's a knuckleball pitcher. Who cares? But with David Price, I think the confusion is this, because I think what you're trying to say is, at least for the and I'm with you on the temporary fix. Pull up Porcello, pull up Pomerantz, whatever. In the long term, though, what Dombrowski and the Sox should be looking at is not to replace David Price himself. It's the value, what you paid for.
Yeah.
If you're gonna do that, if you are gonna avoid the opt out and you're gonna trade him away, you want to get at least. You're not going to get the $65 million or $30 million you invested in him because he didn't come out to be that way. So you're not going to get a Clayton Kershaw back, but you're going to get at least somebody back. You got to get somebody. I would just hate to see him get another player get thrown to waste by this team just because they have exponential amounts of money to spend.
But they could even get somebody, right? If he opts out, if he has a good year and he opts out, and then they reinvest that money into what is a very strong free agent class, that could be considered almost like a trade.
How likely are free agent?
Well,
free agent. Okay, free agent. For some reason, I was going on prospects, but free agent still. Yeah, who's a really hot free agent right now though?
Clayton Kershaw.
He's
an opt out as well. He's an opt out, so he could.
Yeah, they're gonna. He was a Cy Young Award winner last year.
You could go out and get a Bryce Harper, left-handed bat.
He could float around. He's not really the Bryce Harper that ESPN has made him out to be in the magazines.
I think he is.
He's been good, but he's not the top player in the league.
Oh, I think he is.
What are his stats right now?
He's got. I'll bring him up. I mean, I think he's got more home runs than strikeouts. I know it's early in the season. He's got at least 8 home runs. He's had a very good start to the season. He's a guy who has dealt with injury problems in the past, which is one of the one of the concerns you might have with him, but you're talking about an elite player. When you talk about just skill level and what a guy could give you if everything shapes up equally for everybody, Bryce Harper's top 3. He's top 3 in the game, no question about it. He's right up there with Mike Trout.
Mookie?
He's ahead of Mookie.
He's
ahead of Mookie. Mookie's up there. Mookie is up there. I think you put a guy like an Aaron Judge is close, but not in that same category. I still think all things are equal, no. He's up there. Obviously, he's struggled mightily. He's still struggling as we speak right now. Although he hit a home run yesterday, so you never know. Turn around. But and the weather's getting warmer. But I think when all things are equal, and you're talking about the same health, everything, and just about what the skill level the person brings, there are 2 guys. It's Mike Trout and it's Bryce Harper. And I think Bryce Harper should be, and obviously right now he is, if you look at any of the early, and these are extremely early projections of free agents for next year and everything, he's top of the list. He is the cherry on top of the sundae. He is the number 1 option.
Well, how obtainable is he? You said he's approaching free agency this year. I'm sure after the season, or not midway, but I'm sure after the season, right?
I mean, he's going to cost you money, but for the Boston Red Sox, he's quite obtainable because the Boston Red Sox have currently the highest payroll in Major League Baseball. Money's not a thing when it comes to a major market like that. So he's obtained. I mean, are the Cincinnati Reds going to get him? Or are the Oakland A's going to get him? Rays? No, because he's out of their price range. But would they want him? Yes. And should the Yankees, should the Red Sox, should the Dodgers, should the Cubs be in hard on this guy? Yes, they should be knocking down the door to get a guy.
Where would he fit defensively, though? I mean, obviously, I don't. He's free agent. That's actually the plus for the club's trying to acquire him, so you wouldn't have to give anything up. But the Red Sox outfield stacked. Where would he go?
Simple.
You can't tell me he's as good as you can't tell me he's better than Jackie Bradley Jr. defensively. I mean, that's where I'm saying.
Maybe he's not better defensively, but he's better as an overall baseball player.
I think there's a spot.
You send Jackie Bradley Jr. to Timbuktu. You send him to wherever you got to send him.
Send him to who?
You trade him away. You give him away. Whatever. Trying to take Jackie Bradley Jr.'s defense and say that's a reason why you wouldn't want Bryce Harper when you can.
I'm not saying I would want him. I'm saying where would you put
Betts.
him?
You just slide Mookie Betts into center field. You put Bryce Harper into right. You keep Benintendi in left. You do a little switch with JD Martinez every once in a while. Bryce Harper plays a little DH. Who knows? He's a.
I'd say first base.
You could maybe work him as a first baseman a little bit because you only have Moreland there for this year. You never know what's going on.
Moreland's
and Hanley Ramirez, you're not going into the future.
If you're getting Bryce Harper,
but it's not as easy as it looks, though. You can't just like a lot of people say, "Oh, just put him at first base." Yeah, do it. It's not everybody can just jump on the first base, and I mean. At the end of the day, you still have to be. That's like the natural.
Solid, he could work it though. That's the natural transition.
He could.
I mean, think about it. Every big guy. Everyone besides pretty much Ted Williams, I can remember, went to first base after. Even Ted Williams went to first base. Carl Yastrzemski went to first base. Everybody goes and they're fat. Roided up Giambi went to first base.
I would say that Bryce Harper is an average, at worst, average right fielder. Right. Mookie Betts is clearly an above-average defensive right fielder. He's played a little center field. How much, I think what you have to look at, instead of looking at it like, well, JBJ's defense is so much better than what Bryce Harper would be able to give you, so you don't want to give up JBJ, and maybe you want to transition Harper to first. Wouldn't you want, or is there that big of a difference between what JBJ can give you and what Mookie could give you in center? And then is there that big of a difference between Mookie in right and Harper in right?
JBJ and his arm strength, Mookie's arm strength too, but JBJ in the field he covers in center, he's pretty important. Obviously, if you're going to get promises of getting Bryce Harper's bat, doesn't matter where you stick the guy, put him in somewhere. We'll figure it out. But that's the only thing. You're losing that ability, that guarantee in center field. So I'd want to put Bryce Harper. Honestly, I think the best spot for him is he'd be a power hitter for this team, or not power, but he'd be at least a consistent on base hitter. Would be left field. That's where everyone goes. That's where all the
you could put him in left field, but then what do you do with Benintendi?
Benintendi, you tell him to go pound sand. Who cares?
Well, Benintendi's a much better player than JBJ, though.
I'm saying Bryce Harper goes left. If you put Bryce Harper in left and Mookie in right, and then and Jackie Bradley in center field, that'd be amazing. You wouldn't miss Benintendi.
But Benintendi adds so much more offensive ability
than Bryce Harper.
No, than Jackie Bradley Jr. Like I think the easiest move in the history of moves is to say in the history of moves, the easiest move is to say, Jackie Bradley Jr., thank you for your service. Go play in St. Louis, we're going to take a prospect pitcher with upside
in a dishwasher
for you or something.
Yeah.
And a bag of balls. Because, I mean, Andrew Benintendi's a stud. He's a stud.
Well, I know how you feel about him emotionally, but let's just keep it to baseball.
He is a good ball player.
He's a good
he
boy,
is,
as
he
Howard
is
Show says.
better. He is any one of those three options. You can't. Yeah, defensively, what Jackie Bradley Jr. does is very solid and flashy and exciting. But all three of those guys are overall better ball players than Jackie Bradley Jr. will ever be.
Okay, I agree. Can I tell you why I'm standing up for Jackie?
Why is that?
He's the only current Sox member I've met. I met him when I was working at EEI at an event.
So you've got a little...
We're best friends, actually. We're best friends. We're going to the bar later.
Guys are buddies.
Yeah.
Did you text him after his 3-run home run yesterday?
Yeah, I did. I told him hashtag good job JBJ, I love you. There's a whole hashtag too.
I like it.
But yeah, so obviously they're doing pretty well. We kind of got off track with who's going to acquire and everything, but at the end of the day, the Red Sox are, let's face it, they're kicking ass right now. Mookie Betts is tearing the ball up. They took 2 out of 3 of the Yankees last week. They're right now looking like the team to beat. We were both saying the Yankees are going to be the team to beat going into the season, and we're both I'm happily being proved wrong right now.
It is extremely early. I think that still has to be noted. But when you get off to such a start like this, I mean, we were talking a little bit off here. Like the Yankees, they're 9-9. They haven't had a horrible start. They obviously haven't had a great start. I'm sure they would like to have started better. But 9-9 isn't horrible. The problem is 17-2 makes 9-9 7.5 games out.
17-2 makes 15-5 look bad.
Yeah, it means that you can. The Red Sox, like if they can keep this up for another 2 weeks, if they can keep this high level play up for another 2 weeks, you're talking about if you play 500 ball the rest of the way, you're still over 20 games over 500 for the season. Like it's not so much about what the Yankees haven't been able to do or any other team for that matter, because even Toronto, who the Yankees are playing right now, they're 13-6. They've had a really good start to the year, and they're not even in the same stretch as.
What do you always find out?
Right now.
You always find there's always a certain point in the season where you find out if the team has it or not. In all sports, you say, okay, we have X amount of months left, X amount of games left, they're screwed. I think we're going to find that out probably in July where these really stand. Because, again, I was saying this earlier, too. 2 years ago, the Red Sox were beating everybody by, not with the record, but insane amount of runs. And they had a bigger winning streak than they did now. They had an 11-game winning streak. It was the biggest in, 30 years at the time. They were destroying teams like 15-0, 17-5, 20. I think they had 21 runs one game. And people were freaking out. Why is this team so good? Why? And I think that was David Price's first year, so 2 years ago. And one person, I can't remember who it was, but I remember watching TV, and one person was saying, this is not going to last. It's not. It's obvious it's not going to last to that aspect, but he said it's going to be a big downfall, almost like a Max Kellerman-Brady argument. It's going to be a downfall, and what happened? It was. Yeah. They were getting destroyed the other way around, and I think that it's different manager, different players, different roster for this year, but don't expect to have 4 wins through 40. 4 losses through 40. There's gonna be dips and valleys, but I think that the signs the Red Sox are showing us right now with this start, especially what you said, getting ahead and knocking out all these wins so they can have some insurance wins, is huge. So they take that dip, and the Yankees are still trying to climb. They're going to be evened out by July.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I mean, I was listening to the Yankee game before I came in here, and they had brought up the point. I forget the team exactly, but there was one team that got off to a really nice start, and they dipped. I think it was Paul O'Neill. He was talking about the Reds in 90 when they won the World Series. They got off to a hot start. And he said, I think they won the first 10 games. And he said from that point on, every team was playing catch up with them. So a couple teams came close and made it close down the stretch, but still couldn't catch up. It's just you can't win a division. It's the old saying, you can't win a division without
putting a few Band-Aids in your nipples.
You can't win a division in April, but you can help yourself. You can lose one, and you can help yourself get to a point where you can win a division. You can do a lot of things to help yourself down the stretch. I mean, we're talking about a team that 2 weeks from now could be in a position where they could go 500 the rest of the year, the next 4 months, and still be 22 games over 500, which is going to be tough to catch up to.
So they're playing the Athletics tonight at 9 o'clock. It's a third of a 4-game series. They've already won the first 2. Yeah, little Yankees fanboy over here. It's just about that time, Jimmy. It's 3:59 with 15 seconds left, so we're going to get the hell out of here. I have golf to go to. Jimmy, you have whatever you got going on.
I got to just catch up on this cold I've got here.
What do? You just go home and sit stationary at a wall until next week?
I'm gonna lock in on all this information so that next week I can dazzle all of our viewers with some interesting tidbits about the Red Sox being 17-2 and making me miserable.
Sounds good. We'll talk about it then. See you next week.